around 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also went perfect 10 for 10 in the fourth quarter. MVP odds still have him in the 4th place, even though he's got the league's best offense. I swear to God.
What?
Wow, so this is
You
not
give
like
him a round of applause?
Have a straight.
You want to give him
if you have a straight Saquon, this and that, running backs, he's doing great. That's okay. Tread lightly. Don't do it.
Can I just answer the question, please? I think Jared Goff's going to win the MVP.
Wow.
I'm not being smartass. I'm not being sarcastic, and I'm going to lay out how I think it's going to happen.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So
Is he can I ask quick?
He's not mine.
He's not your no right now. Oh, so you're not saying?
I'm not saying
he
I think he should or he would be mine right now.
Okay.
I'm saying I text my gambling group chat today. You can get Goff at 10-1, and I love it. I think it's down to 8-1 right now, and here's why. I think the Bills are very live to lose this week to the Rams. And then next week, with Nance and Romo on the call, we are going to get Goff Allen. And they are going to, at some point during that broadcast, throw up both of their numbers. And Goff's absolutely running away with it.
Here's Goff. I don't know if we got it. Goff's numbers, just in the winning streak. It's all ones.
Right. And so his numbers compared to Allen's are
way better.
Way better. And I think the Lions win that game. And all of a sudden, Josh Allen has lost 2 in a row. And it's like, wait, his numbers aren't amazing. He's lost 2 in a row. And Saquon, my guy, I think he has a couple things working against him. One is the one tough game they have, I think Pittsburgh might be able to hold him down a bit. And the other teams are so bad, I think they're going to keep his usage low.
I think that's smart.
And I don't think he's going to.
They don't want to run him out for the playoffs.
Exactly right. So I don't think he's going to break the record. And I think Goff's going to beat Allen. And then the second to last, the last Monday Night Football game of the year is Jared Goff against San Francisco. And he's going to have the national stage all to himself before Week 18 when guys rest or whatever. I think he's going to win MVP.
Wow.
And when he does, we should all give him a round of applause.
All right.
I'm just telling you.
Okay. Oh, my God. First off, unfolding how he can win the MVP, it's actually a fair assessment. I'm not going to make all these leaps and jumps because I don't know how Saquon Barkley is going to do against the Steelers, and I'm not just going to assume that Josh Allen's just going to, start losing games left and right, okay? So I'm not trying to make those predictions. So if we want to say, like, hey, this is how Jared Goff can win the MVP, that's fine. But Nick Wright's doing this in a way to be like, Jared Goff's not actually the MVP, but because of the circumstances, he's going to now look like the MVP. And it's just like, you do not watch the game from the other night against the Packers and say that that Jared Goff is just a civilian. You just don't do that. Jared Goff is a huge reason why this Detroit Lions team is playing great, is playing as great as it is. And I've said this to other Lions. The fact that Jared Goff does not get as much respect as he does, it's a good thing. It's a good thing because it just shows you how stacked and elite and great your team really is. That's what it gets boiled down to. When you do have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gibbs and Montgomery and Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson and this and that, and the best O-line, they think that Jared Goff is not as important of a contributing factor. And again, if you're a true Lions fan, that is just the greatest problem to ever have. Seriously, you shouldn't. It's not even a bias or a hate on the Lions or Goff. It's like, no, your team is so great and so well run and such a high functioning franchise and offense that they think that they could literally throw in any old quarterback in there. And it's just not the reality, but it's a great problem to have. Any team should want that problem, quite frankly. Comparing these pure numbers to a Josh Allen or a Jared Goff, I think is unhelpful because they don't have the same team. They do have different rosters. Obviously, they play different stylistically. That's why it's not a numbers thing. That's why these numbers are great, but it's like it doesn't even matter. Like I'm not even like, oh, Jared Goff should win the MVP because they're, the Lions are first in points per game, and yards per pass, he's first. Like that's not the argument, honestly. That's really not. At this point, I'm kind of resenting all of the conversations that we have to have around MVP because the parameters are made up. It's just kind of like how you feel. You watch the game, and do you feel Jared Goff is really important to this Lions team? Yes or no? Right? When you watch the Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills play, do you feel that Josh Allen is really important to this team? Yes or no? Saquon Barkley, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, right? Like, so it's just tough. The reality is that they're all the most valuable team, most player to their own team. So it's just like, so then it's like, well, now you're trying to compare all the most valuable players for their own team and collectively and say, well, who's the most of the most valuable player? And it's like, it becomes essentially an impossible thing to do, honestly. It really is. It really is. If Jared Goff went down and you had Cooper Rush in there, how good would this team be? Right? We know if you put in Josh Allen on this team or Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, right? Any of these other top quarterbacks, yeah, this offense would also be really, really great. And then on the flip side, people say, okay, what happens if you put Jared Goff on the Buffalo Bills or you put Jared Goff on the Kansas City Chiefs? And that's like how they then try to figure out who is the MVP. And again, it can be both helpful and unhelpful. Like it honestly, at the end of the day, it just kind of muddies the waters, which is why I've reached the conclusion. Like, I know how I'm more comfortable trying to predict who I think will be the MVP based off of how people are talking in the conversations and voting, kind of like what Nick Wright kind of just did earlier. But I become increasingly less confident in terms of like who I think should actually win the MVP because I no longer even know what it means at this point. Seriously, I really don't. Because people say, oh, no, Saquon Barkley deserves it. And it's like, well, no, what about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and that offensive line and this and that? And then it's like, well, Jared Goff should win. It's like, well, what about Amon-Ra St. Brown? What about Gibbs and Montgomery and that O-line? And it's like, Josh Allen should win it. And it's Lamar Jackson should win it. And it's just like, we can keep going in those circles. It becomes an impossible comparison. It really, really does. But what I don't like is that we keep trying to downplay what Jared Goff does for this offense, which is why Nick does the little hands thing and calls him a civilian. Like, those are perfect examples. People always love to be like, oh, why do you call out Nick Wright, or why do you... He knows what he's doing. He knows he's enraging Detroit Lions fans. That's why, Wilds pretty much baited to him and said, you better not, you better not. So yeah, he thinks Jared Goff will. He's the one that's running that offense. He was making huge plays. Try to throw it to the back. He didn't try. So he's legitimate top MVP candidate. This isn't a question of who is the better player, who is the better quarterback. That's not the question. But there is a lot of weird, bizarre Jared Goff hate or Jared Goff doubt. And it really doesn't make sense. I get why people on the surface say it, because this team is so stacked and because they believe in Ben Johnson. But this is what I always say as well, is like, Jared Goff only needs to be great with the Detroit Lions. He only needs to be great with this team right here. I don't need to know how would Jared Goff do if he was the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Carolina Panthers. It doesn't matter to me. If Jared Goff was in the conversation of being the GOAT, if we were trying to have a conversation of can Jared Goff surpass Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady to be the GOAT, then those conversations are important to have. Looking at Ben Johnson being his play caller, looking at all the weapons that Jared Goff has to deal with, then that is totally fair game. Totally fair game. But when we're just talking about like how great is Jared Goff, what is he able to do with this team, this offense, this franchise, playoff hopes, Super Bowl hopes, MVP hopes, becomes a little much. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jared Goff? According to Nick Wright, is about to win, essentially run away with the MVP. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.